So, a lot of distribution companies, and frankly any company, when they're building out their portfolio, they typically look at some mechanism, be it a framework or be it some kind of a best practice to build out their portfolio offering. They should. Some people do it in an ad hoc way, but in general, you should do it in a structured manner. We decided to take it one step further by looking at the challenges that existed in the market, around the 2019 and then the pandemic timeline. We identified a couple of key areas, right, that customers are trying to solve or secure. Number one, remote working, overnight remote working due to the pandemic requirement, right? Number two, rapid cloud adoption. Again, because of the pandemic, that accelerated, but people were already moving very quickly in the West, and now they've started moving very quickly here as well. The third, pandemic pre-post digital transformation, accelerating digital transformation. So you ask any customer, which enterprise and government does not have these three challenges: securing remote working, securing cloud adoption, or securing digital transformation? So we looked at these three challenges and we realized that traditional cybersecurity architectures they had flaws. They weren't able to solve these problems because of how they were designed as perimeter-based security. So we said the best way to look at it is to use a framework that addresses these three problems while fixing the traditional security challenges. This is where zero trust security came from. So we modeled our entire portfolio around zero trust security, which, as you probably know, is a 13-year-old, 14-year-old framework that came out by Forrester. But it took over a decade for zero trust security to become recognized in the market as being viable. Why? Because people spend so much money on traditional infrastructures and architectures, they wanted to get the ROI from that. When they realized that these challenges still existed with their existing infrastructures, they said, we have to consider something new. So zero trust really came out and became top of mind. So we modeled our entire portfolio offering from the bottom up using zero trust. So there are 7 pillars within zero trust, or micro perimeters: data, networks, devices, identity, workloads, visibility and analytics, and automation and orchestration. Each of these 7 correspond to one micro perimeter or pillar. So we have modeled against each of these 7 a set of market-leading cybersecurity vendors that are able to address the problems or the challenges faced by those pillars. We definitely do not force-feed vendors into the portfolio. We are actually going out and evaluating amongst hundreds of different vendors and really looking at those that complement the zero trust security offering, really looking at those that have a zero trust security message. And those are the only kinds of vendors that fit into the portfolio. No, because you see, those 3 are business objectives, less than CISO pain points. CISO pain points are derived from these larger business objectives, right? So within, let's say, remote working, it's not like there's remote working is the pain point. Within remote working, you have complex, inefficient VPNs. You have managing the trust of the identities. You have where is the perimeter in now? Is it at home or is it in the office? There's so many things to think about. For each of these 3, there are multiple segments or subsections of other pain points that CISOs have to consider. Wonderful. What we do is we work very closely with our strategic partners to really drill in this zero trust security message. And when they are introducing this concept to their end user, they're bringing our advisors in to support them with that message, initially at least, until they have the, they can grab it by the horns by themselves. So we are part of that journey with them from the very beginning, and we help to spread that message by going to the customer, talking about the zero trust journey, the zero trust assumptions, and really what a customer needs to consider in terms of fundamental tenets to go along that zero trust journey, right before they start talking about products and services. Definitely. I mean, look, CISOs are not today saying, we want AI, we want ML, we want, built-in automation. Their challenges are things like lack of skilled cybersecurity resources, too much noise in the SOC, too many false positives. It's very expensive to run a SOC and respond to incidents. These are their problems. So the ML and the automation and the AI that the vendors are embedding into their platforms are being done so to address these problems. And so by the nature of evolution in cybersecurity, all three of what you mentioned, automation, AI, ML, are being embedded into most technologies in order to address those problems. So when you sit with a CISO, he's never going to say to you, I want ML, I want AI, I want automation. He's going to say, help me solve my SOC noise problem. Help me find a way to address the fact that I cannot find enough skilled resources in cybersecurity. It's those problems that these things actually fix. 100%. I think that it's a natural, I guess, circumstance or function of any kind of cyber war scenario. Looking at Russia and Ukraine, both being key players in the already online cyber arena, okay, a war arena, let's call it. Now they're at physical war, means that is only elevating and escalating, right? So any organization with some direct or indirect link to the supply chain of any Russian or Ukrainian entity, which basically means everyone in the world, indirect or direct, is potentially at risk, because the attackers will look all the way down the chain. Think about it. I mean, Middle Eastern companies in some way have some link to one of these two countries. An embassy, oil and gas, food trade, I mean, the retail, you can just, FMCG. There's so much trade that happens. There must be someone in the Middle East or in UAE or Saudi or wherever, and in Russia and in Ukraine that are linked in some way. So every organization suddenly comes into play. And so when this cyber war, or when the war happened, people realized that a big portion of it would be fought online. And suddenly you started seeing a lot of companies turn around and say, you know what, let me get my act together quickly. We did start to see a lot of big pickup around this. It doesn't translate into immediate business, but it does, of course, turn into immediate attention.